Today, we're going to talk about the new dating trend that's being promoted by the WWE star Nikki Garcia. I'll let you guess if it's a good or a bad trend. I'll give you a clue. It's good for cat food makers. Then we're going to go to and meet this lovely lady who will teach us a lesson. She is our the red flag of the week. Then we're going to review a dating profile as I do every day. I will teach you what kind of a profile to always to swipe left on. And then the comment of the day, actually, as negative as it could be, it does come from a man, which to me is kind of a more of a valuable comment of the day. Okay, so our top story comes from the WWE star Nikki Garcia, who is promoting the new trend called slow dating. It is an awful trend for women, I believe. And just in case if you don't know what it is, I will let her explain, as she did a couple of days ago on her podcast with her sister.
Anymore accept the bare minimum from you in this relationship. I'm actually going to slowly date you to see the expectations I do want.
Yeah.
Are you going to open up my doors? Are you going to be open and vulnerable with me? Are you going to communicate? Um, I think it's beautiful, and I think
I think it's quite ugly, especially knowing that she's now in her 40s and single. But there is more. Let's hear a little bit more.
For
you're not
sure.
going to push me to commit or have sex or
Right.
whatever else. That we could just start to chat and work our way into, like, is this worth it? Do we move forward? Like, do you know what I
For
mean?
sure.
Oh, for sure, I know what you mean, girl. Okay, now let me translate it from the common and the most preferred language of modern women, which is gaslighting, into modern English. What this trend tells men is that these women want to date you where you will be giving them everything that they want: the emotional support, your time, a lot of times your money, and so forth and so forth. And sometimes you won't even get to see them in person for quite a few days or maybe even weeks, where they will be giving you absolutely nothing, and definitely not that one thing that you want. So this is sort of a way to trick men into sort of a one-way sexless marriage type of a relationship, and it's now being promoted by a 40 something year old single celebrity. Now, if you ask me and any reasonable man, this is a easy way to end up, well, in your 40s and single despite your fame and still relatively decent looks. This is how it's done. But the slow dating trend is something that obviously needs to be avoided if you are a man, because men have their own definitions of slow dating, right? For example, not spending much money on a first date and taking a girl out to a coffee, and definitely not dinner. I have a segment about that coming up, so stick around if you want to know a little bit about that. But generally speaking, letting a girl essentially have your time, have your effort. A lot of times, even they are not willing to meet you, they will still a lot of times require you to Venmo them the price of their coffee or their Matty Patty. I mean, it's crazy what men nowadays are willing to pay for women without even meeting them. So this is unfortunately a trend which, on one hand, it's going to make the dating scene even worse. But on the other hand, I would celebrate it as a man, because if a girl right away kind of tells you that, well, I don't want to meet you right away, I want to chat and get to know you, well, she just saved you a lot of time, because you just move on and not waste your time on her. Because if you meet a girl, whether in person or on a dating app, you should give her 48 to, let's say, 72 hours to meet you for a quick coffee date, or not a quick coffee date or a drink date, a casual date to get to know each other. If she's not able to do that because she's too busy, or the location is too far from her, or whatever the excuse is, she is not that interested. She is just not that interested. And women, a lot of guys miss this cue to get the fuck out of there. They try to accommodate, and they try to say, well, okay, well, what about this, and then what about that time and this place, and maybe not coffee if you know in the, don't do any of that. The girl, this is the thing. I've already made a video that's called "Women Never Lie," and people raise their eyebrows, goes like, what do you mean women lie all the time? Only if you listen to what they have to say. But if you listen to what women do, they never lie, right? So if a girl is avoiding a date with you, essentially, which again, if it's not tonight, then tomorrow, the day after, that is a reasonable amount of time to free up about an hour or two to meet a good man, right? Because good men are not easy to find. And if she thinks you're a good man, she should automatically assume that, hey, I should clear up my schedule. Maybe I spend less time with my cats and with my boxed wine, and go ahead and have this, what should be a fun time anyway. Meeting a new person should be a fun time. You get to dress up, you get to meet a new man, you get to be a little nervous, you get to be a little flirty, because otherwise you're just sitting at home and doing podcasts with your sister, who you didn't even. I don't know much about Nikki Garcia, but apparently she doesn't live close enough to your sister to do a podcast together. But okay, that looked like a COVID podcast to me. So, gentlemen, this is a very important lesson that we once again being taught by modern women as they're adjusting to men adjusting to their new modern behavior. Don't do slow dating on their terms. It's not because it's on their terms, it's because it is a really bad one-way deal for you. And that is the story of the week, because it really is amazing how even women who, she should really not have a problem getting a man, still end up putting all of these walls and rules and slow dating strategies together to assure that they're single into their 40s. Now, she was married before, by the way, right? But she divorced her husband because I'm sure she thought she could do better. And yet she's single at 41. All right. Let me see. Let me take a couple of comments from the chat. The Rock says, how many percent of Thai women are westernized? Is that percent increasing throughout the years since the world is becoming more globalized and English is spreading through the world? Yes. Well, first of all, just in case if you guys don't know what The Rock is talking about, is that, I live here in Thailand, in Bangkok. And I've noticed here after dating for a while that Thai women who speak English are essentially westernized to the point where they're not the type of family oriented, submissive, and traditional women that you would expect from a Thai girl. If a woman doesn't speak English, she is more likely, though still not guaranteed, would be not only more traditional, but there will be a wall around her protecting her from the Western culture coming in. And the real virus, as I call it, only can get contracted with by speaking English. So, but I got to tell you, and this is why I'm going to answer the other part of the question. The first one, how many percent of the Thai women are westernized? It's a rolling number. I'm only here for a couple of years, and I've already seen the behavior, even from Thai women who don't speak English, that it very much mimics Western women's behavior. I mean, we're nowhere near the point where even Westernized Thai women would be as bad as your regular Western women, but the number is increasing with every day. So you kind of have to choose wisely. You obviously, I'm learning Thai, so that is an absolute must. Now, you don't have that protection in some countries like Philippines, but most of the countries in Southeast Asia, in South America, kind of have that protective wall, right, uh, of of the language barrier, where the girl cannot just go ahead and listen to dumb idiots like her and say, oh, slow dating, okay. But that's increasing. Even the number of women with tattoos since I got here, I would say probably doubled, just in 2 years, which is another epidemic. But at the same time, as you guys know, I appreciate women with tattoos because it's really easy for me to tell that, oh, okay, well, this woman should be avoided. All right. So let me set up for the next segment here. And this one is going to be actually a lot of fun. I watched this video multiple times and it is packed. It's just packed with so much good stuff. Um, let's see. All right, the red flag of the week comes from this lovely lady who is teaching us quite a few lessons in this video. So let's watch.
So, hot take. Coffee dates, ice cream dates, drink dates, etc. are low effort. Okay. I had this man ask me on a date tonight and he said, "Oh, let's go for drinks. I would love to take you out." And I told him, respectfully, "No, I only do dinner dates." He was like, "Oh, I don't do dinner dates on the first date." Blocked.
Good man. Good man. And you are so lucky that you got blocked by her because you saved yourself so much time and money, obviously, and just frustration, most likely, if you haven't dealt with women like this. Like, but I guess who hasn't at this point? Because the first date, he's absolutely right, should have a budget of no more than $10. That's right. Normal enough for a drink, coffee or just a drink at the lounge. And the funny thing is, the reason for that is written right there on her video. She actually got it right. She says that the drink dates is a way for men to assess a woman's worthiness before committing to spending money on a real date. Absolutely correct. If a woman requires you to give her money to compensate her for her company to show up, we have a word for that. It kind of escapes me right now, but I think it rhymes with prostitute. I'm sure it will come back to me. But let's continue watching this wonderful video.
I'm not about to play with y'all, okay? These men, we need to, as women, we need to stop letting these men get away with low effort dates and literally doing the bare minimum, okay? Because, first of all, why are you trying to get me impaired on the first date? Or why are you trying to get impaired around me on the first date? I'm uncomfortable. Absolutely not.
All right, that's a very odd take on it. Not so much hot, but just odd take on it. No one is trying to get you impaired or himself impaired. Having a drink, by the way, coffee will not get you impaired. But even if you go in for an alcoholic drink, don't have five, just one. That's just a day. And the reason we do that is not to get you impaired, is to get you less boring. I mean, let's face it, most women are fucking boring at first, second, or third date. So if that can inject even a little bit of personality, which you can see she doesn't have, we want that. We're willing to pay for that because we want these dates to also be fun for us, not just, making sure that we're guarding our wallet. Um, Now, she also mentioned the low effort. Here's the thing, it's the low effort in terms of investment, right? But it's still a fucking same effort that she's putting into it. It's kind of weird how they want men to put more effort than they're putting in, right? You still have to dress up. You still have to make sure you look good. You still have to show up. By the way, the $10 are $10. You're still paying for her drink at the same time, right? You're taking money out of your schedule. By the way, the type of a man she's looking for is a high value man, I'm assuming. I mean, she's not going to get one, but high value men value their time. So when you're taking your time out of your schedule versus her taking time out of her schedule, your time is so much more valuable. You're losing so much more money than she would be. Then that's the effort that you're putting in. It's kind of weird that unless you bring a pile of cash with them, that's called low effort, even though they're putting the same effort together. And I know they're going to say, oh, we're doing makeup in here. Bullshit. You already should be in makeup and have your hair done by the end of the day anyway. So yeah, freshen up a little bit, put something nice on. But like I said, that's nowhere near the cost of the time we're losing by trying to figure out, is this girl just like the rest of them and a huge waste of my time, or I can actually deal with her and invite her on a second date, maybe for dinner.
Dinner is great. You can have drinks at dinner. I don't, you know, that's
Wow. So wait a second. So it's okay to get impaired while an expensive dinner is being served, but not the female logic, right?
100% a non negotiable for me. As soon as you're saying that you're not taking me to dinner, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not trying to convince you. is dead. You're blocked.
Yeah, but like I said, I wasn't kidding. Being blocked by these women or ghosted or whatever, I know a lot of guys get really kind of down on themselves. Oh, I gotta, you know what I mean? Don't. This girl was gonna waste so much of your money and time. Obviously, she's a gold digger. Like it is just not something that you would end up in a good place with. So the fact that she just saved you all this time and money is a blessing.
Goodbye. The only time I would slightly understand drinks, you know, like a coffee date, salad date, ice cream date, etc., is if he's like a millionaire, billionaire. Okay.
Oh, so you are a prostitute. Oh, look, the word came back to me. It is. I mean, I called it, right. I called it from the very beginning, and it's not like it's a brain surgery. It's not a brain a rocket science, right? These women, and I submit to you that modern women nowadays are all some sort of a prostitute because they all require you to bring them some money, and usually sooner rather than later. Now, don't get me wrong. It is okay to be a provider, right? Once you decided the girl is worth your time, yeah, you can take her out on a dinner. It shouldn't be an expensive dinner. It should be just a regular dinner, right? And then more and more, and if of course if you decide to move in together and you're really considering this as a possible relationship or marriage, then yeah, you should be a provider. But bringing this tons and tons of cash to the first date, or sometimes even before the first date, well, again, it's just you hiring a prostitute. And if you are already doing that, there are such better ways to do it where you spend less money and time and get much more for it. So you're just making a bad financial decision on top of that, if you go out with women like this.
Trillionaire. Like, unless you're up there, but the men that are doing this are regular men, anyways. You get what I'm saying? It's regular men who don't want to spend the money on you.
You, not even a regular woman. I looked at her profile. She's overweight, right? And I'm assuming she's in her 30s, so her value is not very high pretty much anywhere in the world. So I don't understand why she thinks that somehow she deserves a guy who's up here. No billionaire or trillionaire is looking at you. By the way, there's no such thing as a trillionaire, by the way. The billionaire is the highest level of you know forget about it. I'm sorry. I'm explaining math to her now. My bad.
Right? They want to feel like you have to convince them on that first date
You do have to convince us on the first date to get a second one. Otherwise, buy your own fucking dinner. You know what I mean?
why they should take you out to a dinner, spend $200. Maybe if I
No,
took
no, 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 no. $200. That's an anniversary dinner for most people. If that, even for anniversary dinner, some guys would not spend $200 if they're earning, a modest salary, and it's just a waste of family's money, especially if they have kids and so forth. But no, $200 dinner. What kind of loser takes the girl out to the $200 dinner as a first date? I mean, you have to be a loser to do that.
take myself out to $200 dates by myself and I treat myself all the time,
Well, you're gonna treat yourself tonight because you declined a drink date from a man, and you're sitting by yourself in your apartment, making a video where you shit on men. Doesn't seem like a good night. But go ahead and take yourself out for a $200 dinner. I mean, I don't think she has $200 for dinner specifically. So all of that is really bullshit anyway. She's gonna have boxed wine and frozen dinner, or maybe McDonald's. Again, judging by her figure.
why would you think you're gonna come in and take me to no rinky dinky ass, like cheap ass type of drink date? No. And I get it. I feel like as women, a lot of us think of short commitment dates such as drinks, coffee, etc., as a way for you to leave if things are uncomfortable or
For us too. Actually, the reason I started doing drinks dates even back in the day in America is specifically for that. I would meet a girl and she would either be boring, or a lot of times you girls don't look the same way in person. I mean, she's even in this fucking video, she's using a filter, as you can see. She doesn't look this way. That's a filter, right? And a lot of times, you guys know, when you look at the dating apps or Instagram profiles, all these women she's already got makeup on. On top of that, she also has a filter. She looks nothing like this in real life. And yes, we'd like to run the fuck away from women who don't look the same and who look twice their size when they show up on, on dates. So to us, it's the same thing. We don't want to be trapped with this disaster. And again, more men should walk away from the dates right away. I see more and more videos now of women who are saying, oh my God, I went on a date and the man saw me and left right away. Kudos to those men. Don't waste your time on women who don't look the same in person or all of a sudden have attitude in person when you meet them. Kudos to those men.
Or, like a quick exit, right? However, that's not how men view things. They're not coming from a safety standpoint. They're trying to get you turned, and also looking at it financially. Like, I'm not going to spend all that money on this girl.
Yeah, we are looking at it financially. That's why a lot of us have money, is because we don't waste them. Guys who waste money are never have the money, right? But those of us who do have money, it's because we don't waste it. And one of the main, blood draining ways to be financially drained is to spend money on women who haven't earned it yet, which means definitely spending $200 on dinner on a first date. You literally, even if you're a loser and you just don't get women and you're like, okay, well, this is the only way I can meet a girl for dinner. I'm sorry, these $200 will go a long way if you hire other services, if you know what I mean. Honestly, it's just a bad money management if you go out on a date with a girl like that for $200. Even if you get laid, by the way, at the end of it, which you absolutely are not by obviously her demeanor. And again, I don't think a lot of guys would be attracted to her if you actually saw the rest of her.
Thinking that dinner is that much of an investment is problematic and toxic. I don't deal with it.
I love whenever women have to be held responsible for their actions or words or prove their worthiness to a man, they put a word toxic in front of it, right? Like toxic masculinity, toxic relationship. My boyfriend was toxic, right? If you hear a girl say one of those keywords, right, toxic or narcissist, the funny thing is that, and I just saw an article about this, usually it's the narcissists that call other people narcissists because the other people are not willing to deal with their narcissistic behavior. A lot of people call other people toxic is because those are normal people who just don't like toxic people like this person, right? So it's called gaslighting and hypocrisy. Kind of, if gaslighting and hypocrisy had a baby, that's what this would look and sound like, as you just witnessed.
And I'm not going to argue about it. Blocked. These men are so complacent doing the bare minimum, and if you allow a man to do the bare minimum once, baby, he gonna keep doing it. That's what I've learned.
Well, you probably have learned that because you pick the shittiest man and the most desperate ones that are willing to pay you for your presence on the first date. So that's why you have this experience. If you actually would have dated a high value man, like it sounds like the guy who you blocked tonight and now sitting at home by herself in front of a camera, he could have provided. And yet, okay, you blocked him. He is probably out with another girl, right? And most likely having sex as you're recording this video. That happens to me all the time. But I mean, I live in Bangkok, so here I have had dates where a girl would either like cancel last second because she didn't want to drive too far, or whatever, or with this type of attitude. And within an hour, I had a girl in my bed. And I'm sure that guy who invited you on a drink date and stood his ground saying, no, I'm not taking your ass out for dinner. I don't do that. And by the way, if you wouldn't have blocked him, he would have probably blocked you. So it worked out for everybody.
That low effort shit is not flying with me at all.
Well, it will start flying with you once you hit your 40s or late 30s, which is really not far off, I think. You see younger women make this type of videos, right? And then the women, same exact women, right, that have aged and now in their late 30s and 40s make the other type of videos that I feature on this channel, right? Saying like, oh, I feel so lonely with my cat or two or three, right? Or my dog. And, I wish I wouldn't have spent time doing this stupid shit and having these weird standards and not realize what a good man is or spend all this time on my career or whatever, right? So this girl is only about 10 years away from singing a very different tune, from essentially saying, anybody wants to take me out on a coffee date? Anybody? Oh, no. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll adopt another cat. So this is just the classics. But guys, let me end with this, and this is very important, is that the reason women like this having this attitude is because there are plenty of dudes who actually do take them out for dinner dates on the first time and spend the money and then get ghosted because she's only after a free dinner. It's not even, I mean, she's not even hiding it, right? Or she's just after someone who will spend more and more money on her over time. And like I said, that's just subscription prostitution. Do you really want to hire? I mean, it's just it makes no sense for you guys. But a lot of men actually do that, and that's what's fueling this. So I imagine every man telling her, "Well, I don't fucking do dinner dates." You think she would be? Do you think she would have this fucking attitude? No. The reason she has it is that a lot of you guys are still simping and taking these women out for dinners and even give them flowers on a first date. Pathetic and counterintuitive. All right, let me take another comment. Do the words feminine woman and traditional woman mean the same? Can women be traditional but unfeminine? And can women be feminine but not traditional? No. The word traditional, let me put it this way. The word woman should already, you almost brainwashed me here for the second, Rock. The word woman should already include being feminine, right? When women are not feminine, we should have some other words for it. But to me, a woman should be feminine. Like the reason, like we only recently even added the word traditional woman, right? We added the word tradition to the word woman because we used to call them women. She's a woman, she would be, yeah, of course a woman would be feminine. But now that a lot of women are not feminine, and we had to specify this dying breed of species that only found in Southeast Asia and Latin America. It's almost like I'm talking about an exotic bird, right? Now we say, well, they're the traditional women. But no, like I said, the original definition of a woman, and now the updated 2.0 definition of a woman, which we now have to say traditional woman, absolutely include her being feminine. Yeah, it's part of the package. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. All right. Now let me move on to the next segment. All right. All right, dating profile of the day is this profile with this lovely lady. Looks like any other profile, and a lot of you guys would swipe right on it almost right away. But this profile is to be avoided, and let me explain why. Now, if you look at the pictures, first of all, she's cute, right? She's all right. She's just turned 30, so she's 30 years old. Love the name, Elise. Now you can see that she travels a lot. A lot of this is from different countries. Now this I had to look up. This is a traditional Korean dress, from what I figured. Sorry, I forget the name. But anyway, so it looks like she's Korean, and she obviously travels. And to me, it's always like, that's kind of expensive. Who's paying the bills? Either she is a career woman who usually doesn't have time for you, that pays for it, or some other dude is or was, right? We can see that she has a dog. That's also, I would say, a pretty big yellow flag, not a red flag, but a yellow flag, because you know um, adopting a dog or a cat should be a together family decision for a couple, right? If a woman decided to adopt a pet already, she made that decision for you if you are her future boyfriend, right? She basically said, I'm not going to fucking wait to find out who this is. And of course, she's avoiding all men who are allergic to dogs or cats, or maybe just not like it, right? Like, for example, I love dogs, but I don't love all dogs. Like, I've dated a girl before leaving America in Houston, Texas. And honestly, the worst part of our short relationship was her fucking dog. The fact it was just so misbehaved. I was embarrassed to be out when she was walking her dog. I didn't like how the dog was all over the place at the apartment and running away. And what was disappointing was that she wasn't really reprimanding the dog or training the dog. And to me, it just gave me just a general idea that she's just doesn't always understands what's proper and what's not proper in public or even in private. And so, yeah, so a lot of guys just don't like this particular dog, even though I love dogs. And of course, then he's like, are you going to be the one? Like, the reason I don't have a dog is because I don't like picking up poop with my hands after a dog. Like, to me, and waking up, like, I have to be on dog's schedule. What the fuck? No, no. So now you have to be on her dog's schedule a lot of times, right? Especially if you ever move in together. So when a girl adopts a dog ahead of time, she already tells you, "Fuck you! You better be on my schedule and have a third member of the family that you didn't really want because I already made that decision for you." So that's, more adventures and expense. This stuff is expensive, by the way. This looks great, but to get that shot, right, this is you have to travel somewhere, and you pay a lot of money to get the plane up and to have somebody attached to you as you're throwing yourself out of the plane, right? I'm always asking, where's this money coming from, right? And a woman that has money usually is not very dateable. All right, so sorry, let me more travel, more travel. One piece bikini. All right. Okay. So, but this is not really, none of these are deal breakers, really. These are just things to look into, right? Now, she's in her 30s. Let's scroll into her profile. She's Asian, I'm assuming Korean, doesn't smoke, drinks sometimes, doesn't do weed, doesn't have kids, but wants them. For those of you guys who want to have kids, that's perfectly fine. Okay, well, has a dog, right? She's looking for new friends, which is usually bullshit. There's no such thing as looking for new friends on the dating app. That's just fucking stupid. So this is a bit of a yellow flag. Make sure she doesn't have like guy friends who are hanging around that she met on dating apps who want to bang her, but she put them in the friend zone, but they're always around, So look out for that. But she's looking for a long-term relationship. So far, so good, right? So far, so good. Not bad. But here it is. If you scroll down to her profile, this is all she has out of all the sections you can fill out here on OkCupid. She said, my self summary, all good in the hood. That's it. So what does it mean? A lot of guys don't really understand this, but when a girl puts very little effort into her profile, especially when it's time to sort of talk about yourself, what you have to offer, and especially what you're looking for in a man, when she completely skips that pretty much most important part, most likely this girl is not taking this seriously at all. Whether this particular profile, like she created one night when she was lonely and then she ran out of time and she'll probably never come back to it, or come back to it in a month or whatever, or she is part of a ever growing number of women. There were a couple of studies done recently of women who do not get on dating apps to date. That's right. See, back in the day, silly me assumed, and that was kind of true for a while, that the dating apps were for dating. But now they're not. A lot of women get on, including women who are in relationships and marriages. A lot of women get on dating apps not to date, but to get the attention and validation from men. The most addictive drug of the new era of dating for women: attention and validation. So this profile, again, was just created to get that. She is not that she's a trust. You've seen profiles of women who are actually going to date on dating apps, right? Yes, a lot of them are looking for money and a rich guy and a simp and all of that stuff, but at least they've put in some effort and typed in some text into the section and self summary and so forth. But this girl, all good in the hood. That's all she said, right? The hood is to be avoided. This is a typical profile where she'll just suck your attention in. And by the way, these girls, you still can match with them. They'll talk to you, but that will still all be for attention and validation. At the end of the day, girls like this will not be going out on dates with you. And so please, again, this is all dating apps. If you're on dating apps, which I recommend you get the fuck off of them, unless they're niche, right? Unless they're, either kink apps, whatever you're into, or local apps. Like here, I'm on like specifically Thai apps. Don't waste your time with Tinder and Bumble. That is just a waste of time. But if you do get on the alternatives ones, the number one thing that you should, be aware of is not wasting your time and money, or specifically both. This girl, this profile will absolutely waste your time, and that's why you should avoid it. And a lot of guys still end up swiping right on this. So it is a problem. Frank in the chat says single women with pets are red flags. So I wouldn't say red flags, because essentially you're saying, well, it's a deal breaker, right? And if you see a girl with a dog or a cat in the profile, it's a deal breaker. I would like, see, I criticize women for doing this, all the time, right? They see one tiny little potential problem and they run, instead of saying, well, okay, if it's just one problem, let's see if we can solve it. Maybe there's something behind it, right? So if this girl had a decent profile, right, and all I saw that, oh, she has a dog, and everything else actually checked out, I would still swipe right on it. And I'll tell you why. Because, sometimes women don't adopt animals because, oh, I feel lonely, and therefore this is going to be my, backup boyfriend type of a thing, right? Where I don't need no man because I can come home to my best friend and all that bullshit, right? And it's not because they basically said, well, I want a dog and it doesn't really matter what my future husband or boyfriend wants. I'm going to get a dog. And if, like they even have a movie, right? Must Love Dogs, right? It's kind of like, yeah, I'm not dating you unless you are into this one thing that I'm into. Otherwise, fuck off, right? So not all of them do it for those reasons. I know women who have rescued dogs who, for essentially like one of their, parents or sister dies or something happens, and the dog has no home, and instead of putting up for a pound, that they know that because she got to know this was a family dog, she would adopt the dog and take her in. The same thing with a cat, right? Sometimes, for example, a girl volunteers for a cat shelter or dog shelter, and there's an animal that essentially needs a surgery or whatever, and otherwise the dog dies or a cat dies, and she puts the money and gets attached to an animal, and because of the good deed essentially adopts the cat, right? So not all of this is bad, right? You kind of want to get in, and then of course, how does she handle it, right? You say, listen, first of all, let's see if you like the dog. You might like the fucking dog or a cat, and then there's not much of a problem. But then you kind of, like, for example, in my case, if I would have loved like the dog that I'm a girl who I'm dating, I'll be like, listen, it's all good, but I'm not picking up this dog's poop. Do not ask me to walk this dog. Do not ask me to do any tasks that you've already committed to doing it. I mean, like, fine, if you're sick in bed and you can't get up, of course I'll help out and walk the dog. But you know better hire somebody, like, better handle it the way you would handle it if you were single, right? But because, like, for me, picking up poop from a dog is just a absolutely fucking no. Picking up poop with my hands is just not in my schedule. That's just me. Some people go like, nah, no problem, right? So that's a good question, Frank. Let me well, let me answer one more real quick before we move on to the last segment, which actually is a treat. I think it's a comment of the day. The Rock says, from what I know, hookers and prostitutes are the examples of women who are feminine but not traditional. They have to be feminine to attract clients, but no traditional girl can be a hooker. Hookers are attractive. Well, hookers are, so let's not confuse attractive and feminine, right? Yes, hookers are attractive. They're usually the most, like, definitely here in Bangkok, I would say hookers are definitely 90% of the most attractive women here, just the way. And a lot of them are ladyboys on top of that. That's just the reality here, and in a lot of other countries, unfortunately. But are they feminine? So okay, so there's two things here, but let me address the first one. So a traditional woman is feminine, but just because a girl is feminine doesn't mean she's traditional. And I think this is where you might, that's probably where the question comes from, right? All bank robbers wear the black hoodies, right? But not all people who wear black hoodies are bank robbers. It's kind of the same thing. So now the second part is, are hookers feminine? Well, I got to tell you, I see them all the time around here, and not all of them are. Not all of them are. But generally speaking, I would agree with you. But like I said, it's not like it's not reversible all the time. So hopefully that makes a little more sense here. All right, now let me move on to the last segment, which like I said, I love the comments of the day, and this one is quite interesting. So let me get to it. All right, this comment of the day comes actually from a guy who says, "Bro, love being called bro, as you know. Bro, nose rings and tattoos are super hot. I get the issues that you bring up for Western women, but these are not issues. I think you might reevaluate your problem with these two sexy additions for women. Tattoos and piercings that women have are usually never an issue for me." All right, so that's a lot to unpack. And first of all, I love when people disagree with me respectfully, right? This guy wasn't like, if you look at my comment section, people who disagree with me that usually are, modern women and simps, are not very polite, which I take great pleasure in. By the way, if it wasn't for those nasty comments from them, I would feel like I'm doing something wrong, right? But in this case, this guy is pretty is pretty cool, right? I don't like to be called bro. His picture looks like he's kind of a bro, and it looks like he's kind of a younger guy. So okay, so let's one by one, right? Nose rings and tattoos are super hot. Now, I cannot argue with that statement because it's just a preference of your eyes, right? For example, I love black women, right? I think they're the most beautiful, generally speaking, women in the world. But I see guys here walking around with Thai women who have no ass, no tits, just flat all the way around, and they think these are the hottest women they ever could get, right? So you cannot argue that. Now, I would suggest if you're attracted to tattoos, that usually is more of a masculine type of a visual representation, and nose rings, which always remind me of cattle, honestly. Um, that's your thing, but I would suggest that you maybe at least present yourself with, more feminine women in your life and see maybe you like them better. But again, not going to argue about the taste. Now he says then, well, I understand that Western women have a lot of problems, but these are not the problems. Well, so here's one thing that he doesn't understand. And then he says, like, I should reevaluate whether nose rings and tattoos really is a part of the set of problems that Western women have. It seems like he does recognize that Western women have a lot of problems. He just doesn't think these are the two. So here's the problem. The tattoos and piercings are not really a problem visual. Like I said, if you're attracted to it, that's fine. Like I find some tattoos kind of like interesting, right? Or like the back in the day tramp stamps. Some of them were kind of cool and sexy in some ways, right? And those rings, some of them don't bother me at all. If it's like it just looks silly. But if it's a little stud or whatever, and it kind of maybe compliments her eyes because she just like, yeah, listen, they're not visually displeasing all the time, just most of the time. But the problem with tattoos and nose rings is what they represent, and I've published many videos about why tattoos and nose rings are a problem. But tattoos specifically, I'm not going to go into huge details, but tattoos essentially a very good indication that this woman will not respect a strong alpha man. And if you're a beta male or a simp, then you don't have a problem, I guess, with women with tattoos. But you have a problem with being a simp, of course. But generally speaking, they do not, because tattoos represents the lack of strong positive male figure in their lives, well, usually played by their dad. But a lot of these women are raised by single mothers, and if they do have a father, he's a simp. So they really never come across a strong man and see how a relationship between a strong man and a traditional woman works. So that's because any strong male figure in your life, again, usually your father would say absolutely no tattoos. And a woman, even if she's already out of the house and her whatever, would never disrespect her father by doing something that her father suggests she doesn't do, because she knows that her father is her mentor and a guide through life, especially through her teens and 20s. And if her father says, listen, don't get the tattoos, it will limit you by the type of man that you will be able to have a relationship with. It will limit you by the type of jobs you'll be able to have. There's also medical reasons. I have a video about that, how it's just a bad health decision. A lot of tattoos, and this is a medical fact. You can chat GPT or Google this. Especially if you have them on your chest, they can interfere with mammograms and miss possible, breast cancer. It's just bad in so many different ways. So, and of course, my last argument out of many, many other ones that I just even don't want to mention right now is the fact that, listen, what if I ask you to name one female profession where pretty much every single girl in that profession has tattoos, usually multiple ones, right? Rhymes with a prostitute. Yeah. So, but then give me a bunch of respectable professions, college professor, a doctor, an attorney, a company executive. Think about women who are in those positions. Do they have tattoos? No. So why would you want a girl who would rather look like a prostitute, right? And then let's say a librarian or a college professor or a doctor. Like, what? Why? Do you understand the type of other choices this woman probably would make if she models you know, her body and her visual presentation after hookers and not after doctors? There's a deeper problem there. So, and the same thing with nose rings. Nose rings are, they're removable. Unlike tattoos, they're just your visual representation of a girl making bad permanent decisions. But at least these can heal, right? But it also is just usually a girl says that I want to be combative. It's just a showcasing the fact that you're going to be combative, right? It's a very alternative. It pretty much never adds to the look and the beauty of a girl. It's basically saying, I want to look different. I want to look alternative, and I know this is not adding to my beauty, and I'm going to do it anyway. And you better like me for who I am, otherwise, fuck off, right? It's just and again, it's just the type of women. Every time I do a video, the video from before, by the way, right? This girl who says, "Oh, $200 dinner or fuck off," right, on the first date. Did you see her nose ring? Absolutely. That's the thing. It's just kind of like, like you essentially tag the cattle, right? They'll put a little ring and they'll put a little tag. It's kind of like that. It's just that the tag is invisible. It usually says, if you're good, high value man who has respect and boundaries and you're an alpha male, stay the fuck away from me. That's might as well what this nose ring label might have, because it's every time I see a girl who is combative and Western and disagreeable and non-feminine and all that stuff, the nose ring is almost always there. So that is just a visual presentation to stay the fuck away from. So hopefully this helps. Now, the lastly, he says, uh, tattoos and piercings that women have are usually never an issue for me. Well, he does look like a young guy in his picture. So a lot of young guys in American Western countries don't really know what a good woman is anymore, because they kind of disappeared, right? Died out in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And a lot of times these guys are being brought up again by either a simp father or a single mother. So they don't really know what a good feminine, submissive, traditional woman is anymore. So he basically says, like, well, it's never an issue for me. It's an issue, you just don't know it's an issue, right? Your standard for women is just too low. That's why they all pass that low standard. And I'm not trying to offend you, by the way. It's not your fault. It's not the fault of these guys. I would only fault you for not maybe listening to more of, red pill community leaders telling you that, hey, listen, wake up. The type of standards that you have for women is too low. You need to raise it, and therefore you will unlikely to be attracted and want to date women with tattoos and nose rings. So the fact that it kind of never been an issue for you, the tattoos itself may be not an issue, but what they represent is absolutely is an issue. And if it's not, then you are a beta male or a simp, and this is something that you should work on. By the way, unlike tattoos, being a simp, being a beta male is not a life sentence. I used to be a simp because essentially it used everything that simps do nowadays used to be just basically being a gentleman. Because while you're being a gentleman, what you get for it is usually ladies, right? But as you saw from the earlier segment, these are no longer ladies. They demand money just to meet them, right? So it used to be being a gentleman, and now it is being a simp. And a lot of guys have not realized it on time. Luckily, I realized it early in my, uh, days of being single, and I was able to correct myself and grow myself and put some boundaries up and have some, self-respect that I very much appreciate in me, and I don't let women violate that. So, when guys like him saying, well, this is never an issue, it is. You just don't know about it. And, like I said, that's okay, man. That's everybody has gone through this stage. So expose yourself to, more traditional women, understand what the benefits are. I literally have a video explaining that on my channel, and, improve yourself, improve your standards, improve the way how you look at women, and start seeing red flags, which nowadays modern women are full of them, and you'll be okay. And then I'll see you here in Thailand in a couple of years, my friend. Let me take a quick comment. Is my rank of women from worst? Here it is. Here is my rank of women from worst to best. Correct. Western women, Russian women, Westernized Thai women, Philippine women, Thai women that don't speak English. Um, Yeah, like listen. Whenever we talk about women in general, right, to categorize them, these are all generalizations, and I like generalization. Of course, you miss some, but generally speaking, if you're gonna date, let's say, a Russian woman, most likely than not, you're gonna end up in a very bad place. Uh, is there some small chance that you won't? Yes, but generally speaking, it's like if you cross a freeway, with a blindfold, are you gonna die? Most likely, but sometimes you don't, right? So in that case, I would recommend, because most likely you're gonna die, I would recommend not walking across a busy highway with a blindfold on. So I just want to, kind of preempt everything with saying that. Now, the only thing that I would change is Russian women would be my number one, because Russian women are essentially a more poisonous and toxic version of Western women, right? A lot of times it's because all Russian women pretty much have education. So when a woman is smart and she wants to fuck you over, or intimidate you or manipulate you, they're much more successful, especially with average guys who are just good guys, who are not suspecting any of this. And Russian women come from the culture where manipulating a man is just part of the culture. You know what I mean? So when a woman is, raised to be manipulative, but she also is smart because she has education, some really bad shit is going to happen to you. So I would say Russian women, then Western women, then westernized women. I wouldn't specifically say Thai women, but just westernized, traditional women. How about this? Yeah, Philippine women, and I would also now throw African women in there, or any traditional country that has English as the main language, where everybody speaks it, right? Like I was in Kenya a couple of months ago, and technically it should have been a traditional culture, and I was just, I left. I love black women, and I was in Kenya, and I left halfway through my trip that I planned because I just couldn't stand it, right? Just remind, like worse than American women in some cases. So a westernized, traditional women. Then women, number four would be women in countries where English is spoken widely. And then again, not specifically Thai women, but traditional women who don't speak English. So, but generally speaking, I think you have you should have your own channel, Rock. Honestly, I think some of your thoughts are very, very interesting. They definitely provoke my thoughts. So I really appreciate you watching me. I know changed my I just changed my time from what was like 10 a.m. California time to 10 p.m. California time, and I know it's Sunday still over there. It's already Monday here, so I appreciate you following me here and participating. It's I my favorite part of any live stream, even when I did it on my previous channel, is when I get to hang out with people in the chat and talk back and forth, answer questions and stuff like that. But tomorrow there's another news story. There's another one. I think it's a Delulu of the week. I lost track. Oh, the real man of the week, I think. And then, of course, we're going to review another dating profile, and we're going to do another comment of the day. I don't know any of those are. I'm actually going to post this, repost this stream, and then take my Thai lesson and eat some Thai food, and then I'm going to get back and figure out what it's going to be. But I promise you, I will be back here at the same time tomorrow. All right. See you guys later and have an awesome day. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmanproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your